How's it going, everybody? It's Moontan here. My first build video. This is the Moonplar I've been playing for the past couple weeks, tweaking things, including different skills, even dropping start resto staff. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit why I'm making the build in my playstyle. So I do a little bit of solo play, and if I'm going to be doing solo play, I'm going to be Pirate Skeleton. Have a lot of fun with that set. Let's build. If I'm going to be in a group, so anywhere from probably 2 to 4 people, I'm going to be using Bloodspawn because that's going to really help me generate a lot more ultimates to support while being able to go offensive myself, because the Resto ultimate happens to be very helpful in that regard. So let's go ahead and just get this going with a little bit about our stats. This is without Battle Spirit, of course. With Battle Spirit, you're going to be sitting around somewhere like 26k maximum health. Stamina is going to be about the same, and your maximum Magicka is going to be about the same. Right now, I do have Bone Pirate equipped, I'm pretty sure. So that's why you see my spell resistances and physical resistance sitting at that level, because you get about 2k from that Bone Pirate, and I'm on my defending Resto staff. My critical resistance, this is right under 3k, and I'll talk a little bit about that later when I'm in my CP, why that's important, why I actually have so much critical resistance. And then you're going to see Magicka recovery is at 1286, stamina recovery and health recovery, not super major, but they're not bad either. But you might be thinking, oh, that Magicka recovery looks pretty low, and that's because I am not running the Atronach boon. I am running the Thief boon, because this build is based around critical damage and critical healing. The food I am using is Tristat food, in case you're wondering. Any Tristat food is going to work. That's the purple food. Example of what Tristat food looks like. The potions I use while in PvP are invisibility potions, tech potions, regular immovability potions to get out of Zergs or potentially just to be a little bit more mobile, tripods for just overall stat generation, and then these are just other Essence of Immovability pots that just restore Magicka and health. Sometimes you might just need that without the extra speed and stuff like that. So I'm going to go back here, and we're actually going to talk about the gear right now. So when I first started playing, I was playing full support. Then I started getting a little bit more damagey, and at this point, I realized that, hey, on a Magicka Templar, you don't have an opportunity to do lots and lots of damage. So I was trying to maximize the amount of damage that I could while still being very tanky and supporting my team heavily. So right here we have the Bone Pirate set that I'm wearing right now. Pretty standard. I have Sturdy and Impen on that. And then on my gear, it's going to be Rattle Cage. So you're going to have the Rattle Cage 5 set. That's all going to be Impen. Then you're going to have Spinners, which is going to be on your jewelry and your staff and your dual wheel bar. And note that the only 2 glyphs I have that aren't max Magicka enchantment are on my chest and my legs. Everything else is max Magicka, and those are all gold glyphs. So everything I'm wearing is a gold glyph. On my weapon, on my Resto staff, I'm using the weapon damage enchantment, which increases your weapon damage to spell damage. We're really only concerned about the spell damage. So at range, I hit them with a couple times with that to get that to proc. And then I'm going to go in and have actually the damage health poison on my dual wield bar. And this is really nice because it's going to add just a little bit more damage in there while you're trying to proc that Purifying Light to hit as much damage as possible. So as you can see with the Thief Mundus, I am sitting at 32.9% critical, which is great because now we can talk about the skills that I'm using. And I'm also gaining about 10% more crit or so with Vampire's Bane because that's giving me Major Prophecy. So I'm sitting right around 42.9% crit while I am fighting in combat, which is really helpful because that goes inside with the ultimate that I'm choosing to use, which is Light's Champion. And basically, any friendly target you heal gains Major Force and Major Protection for 5 seconds, increasing their critical damage done by 15% and reducing their damage taken by 30%. You can see why that's really good. Note, keep in the back of your mind that critical damage done by 15% part, because once we go into our CP, it'll kind of all sync together right there. But base skills you're going to want to use are Honor the Dead. Why not Breath of Life? Honor the Dead is going to give you more sustain, and as long as you're paying attention to what's happening around you, you can definitely keep your whole team up with Honor the Dead, and you're not going to go out of a mana any faster. We want Channeled Focus for the extra resistances and Magicka regen. Extended Ritual, that's pretty much the best one you can use at this point because it's going to be cleansing yourself of the most negative effects. Misform, this is going to be your bread and butter. You'll spend a lot of time in your Misform, and basically you're going to be timing attacking and everything based on that Misform because that reduction is really, really great. And Vampire's Bane again. This is going to give you your Major Prophecy, and it's going to be doing lots of damage. And you might be saying, oh, why not Reflective Light? This build specifically, I want to focus on single target damage the most. Reflective Light might be a good choice if you're always going to be playing in a team and you're going to be playing a little bit more defensively. But if you're ever branched off by yourself, Vampire's Bane is going to be doing lots and lots of damage. So on my dual wheel bar, which is technically my back bar, but it doesn't really matter. I have this on your front or your back bar. I have Toppling Charge, which is going to be your main CC. Sometimes that is a little bit hard, but once you get used to this playstyle, you'll get used to timing that every 6 seconds if you need to. Radiant Oppression, you want to use this one because it is going to deal the most damage. Purifying Light, that is pretty much your bread and butter of where you're going to spike a lot of damage. If I'm on someone alone and I've hit them with almost all of my combos, that can definitely hit usually anywhere from 7k to 10k. If you have your little team beaming on the same person, so like if you're calling a target and you are the person calling targets on your small group, say Purifying Light's on this person, let's focus him down, that person's going to get hit with over a 10k Purifying Light, which is really, really nice damage. Repentance. Why am I using Repentance over the other morph that gives the Magicka Steel? Repentance is just overall better. I found myself when I used that Magicka Steel one, when someone died, I was already a little bit drained on mana, that it was super, super, super nice to be able to still come back and get a Repentance off and regenerate some of that stamina. And then Biting Jabs. So your Biting Jabs morph is going to be Puncturing Sweep, obviously, because that's that Magicka morph, and you actually get decent healing with this. And especially with the crit that we got going on, that's going to also really help that. And then my ultimate on this bar is Dawnbreaker Smiting. I use Dawnbreaker Smiting when it's small, so like either myself or another person. But if I get into a group size 3 to 4, I'm actually going to put Shooting Star on because it's reliable in the group setting. And again, if you do get in a group setting, I would be taking off Pirate Skeleton and replacing that with Bloodspawn. So you can really think all of these have relatively low costs. So this one only has 96. When you're in a group with Bloodspawn on and you can proc and cast lots and lots of Lights Champions, which is that rest ult, you're going to be really, 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 really able to support your team a lot, and you're going to be very, very, very hard to take down at the same time as being able to do a considerable amount of damage. And most of the time, I try to time my damage with this Lights Champion because, as we see in our CP here, we'll talk a little bit through this pretty briefly. Apprentice, I have 20 points in Blessed, 55 in Elfborn, 50 in Elemental Expert, 75 in Thaumaturge. So for Thaumaturge, I have that for the Exploiter thing, because Toppling Charge does set people off balance and you do 10% more damage with them, and that helps that overall burst. But specifically, let's talk about Elfborn. That's pretty high usually. Not a lot of people have it that high, but increases damage and healing dealt by spell criticals by 16.5%. So that means when I have Lights Champion on, I'm doing about 31.5% crit damage, as well as being able to basically be really, really strong, almost invulnerable when you have that Lights Champion up for about 5 to 6 seconds. And yeah, with the 42.9% crit, you're going to be doing lots and lots of crit damage. So honestly, the rest of ult almost becomes your offensive ult because you really became really, really hard to kill. So let's talk about little things I have in the Shadow. I reduced my Shadow Ward because you're not going to be blocking a whole ton. You only need to block on really clutch things, maybe like a meteor or a really big heavy swing or something like that. Most of the time you will not be blocking in this build. You'll either be misforming or something else, like not getting hit, hopefully. Tumbling, I increase more points into Tumbling because you do need to roll dodge or break free. That's where you want to save your stamina for. Arcanist, your Magicka recovery is pretty dang good with this already, so you don't need a bunch of points into this, but I have that sitting at 35 for the 12%. And Magician, I actually dropped this by 5 points because I wasn't having Magicka problems, because once you're running the Resto staff, you can just pull it back and get a little bit more. Quick recovery, that's only at 10 because your heals are good enough. Hardy, 48, Elemental Defender, 47, Thick Skin, 20. And then this one is the other really, really important one. I have 75 into Resistant to get this Resilient trait, and as well as to give me more critical resistance, because crit resistance isn't as bad as you guys all would think. Now let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I think that should be just about it. If you guys definitely are appreciating the build, I really appreciate you coming and check me out while I'm streaming at twitch.tv/Moontan. I've been having lots and lots of fun with this build, and a lot of people who have tried it out have really been appreciating it as well. Thank you for taking the time to listen in, and yeah, hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.